Notre Dame is quite unusual in the way that it's funneling support funds into areas like the Department of History, and not just trying to keep it afloat, but to make it something special, something that is really a flagship of the university, of the humanities itself. Mariana Candido brings to Notre Dame an expertise in the transatlantic slave trade of the 17th, 18th century, as well as a wider purview of transatlantic history, reaching down to South America. And she is going to be able to join a conversation here in transatlantic studies that has become a real focal point of the department.
My research here at Notre Dame is focused mainly on West Central Africa. When we think about the transatlantic slave trade, we tend to think what happened to people when they arrive in the Americas. So we talk a lot about slavery, we talk about racism, we talk about inequalities, but we tend to forget that African societies also had to cope with losing. The region that I work on it's Benguela in West Central Africa. So nowadays it's in central Angola. Benguela lost more than 760,000 people in 300 years. The effects of the transatlantic slave trade were also felt by people living far away from the coast. We can see products produced elsewhere. The crops coming from the Americas, but also tea sets from China, textiles from India were also circulating. What becomes interesting in the project is how it relates to debates on globalization, how African societies have been part of a globalized world since an earlier date. In the past 30 years, there is an explosion on research and publications related to African women in the 20th century, but not so much in earlier periods. So I hope that my work will also show that there are primary sources available and hopefully become an inspiration for other scholars to search for information on African women in different moments.
Elisabeth Koll's arrival here at Notre Dame is, of course, a real boon for the university. Elisabeth's expertise in Chinese economic history is going to be a real asset here for students in history, but also in the business school.
My current research involves the history of the railroad in China from about 1900 to the beginning of the economic reforms in the 1980s. The reason why this topic fascinates me is the history of the railroad is usually a very important topic to explain industrialization, capitalism, the emergence of the modern nation state. If you look at post-1949 China after the revolution, the railroad played a very, very important role in the centralization and development of the economy. It played a big role in bringing the socialist state to every nook and cranny of the Chinese territory. How is it possible that the railroad network was able to expand and play such an important role in the Chinese economy, in its uses to the political agenda, and also in terms of the people who worked for it and who traveled on it? We do have access to archives at the national, provincial, regional, and local level. That was just not possible 20, 30 years ago. There are still so many documents and archives unexplored.
Alexander Beihammer is already a leading expert, recognized worldwide for his studies in Byzantine history. In coming to Notre Dame, he strengthens the medieval history program, which is already recognized internationally, and does so in a very important way by bridging Western European history and history of the East.
I'm interested in Byzantium as a phenomenon of cultural contact, on the one hand between the Muslim world and Byzantium, and the other hand between Byzantium, Eastern Christianity, and Latin Christianity, especially in the time of the Crusades. I'm concentrating on phenomena of cross-cultural communication related to religious dialogue. I'm very much interested in medieval Anatolia and in the arrival of the Turks in the 11th century, who came in as part of a transformation of the Muslim world. Nowadays we have the Republic of Turkey, which has his roots in exactly these developments of the 11th century. And so the big question now is, how is it possible that a large area, which was more or less deeply involved in Byzantine culture and Byzantine language and all these things, how could it be transformed within centuries and become a Turkish and Muslim? And so we can draw many parallels between medieval phenomena of the Eastern Mediterranean, and modern experiences. The Medieval Institute offers a very good framework for the development of Byzantine studies. This is an amazing institution which has a very broad variety of disciplines, covering more or less the entire range of the Middle Ages. And this is quite unique, not only here in this country, but internationally.
In my work in general, I seek to kind of connect religious impulses, trajectories in religious history with broader strands of American history, to reveal hidden histories of religious influence in modern America. I'm interested in the relationship between religion and oil in modern American history for a number of reasons. One is at the local level. What does it mean to grow up, to live, to work in an oil patch of North America, be it Texas or Oklahoma or even Alberta? Is there a distinctive and a unique religious experience that grows up alongside the oil industry, and how does oil itself in some way shape theology? I'm also interested at the relationship between religion and oil on a national level. What does it mean for the United States to enjoy hegemony in oil, to enjoy the dominance that it has in the oil industry throughout the 20th century, and how does that in turn become imagined in almost theological terms? How is oil itself sacralized on this level? We're at a juncture in American politics and culture where this question is at the forefront. What happens now that America does not enjoy the supremacy in oil that it once did? Moreover, what about questions of the environment? What about questions of alternative energy? This department is absolutely committed to making this an internationally recognized research university with graduate education at the forefront, but also encouraging faculty to continue their own individual research agendas, to make connections regionally, nationally, internationally. And the university is really providing the resources, the time, and the support necessary to do that.
It is refreshing to come to a university where there is a big support for the humanities. At Notre Dame, not only I have support from my department, from my colleagues, but I would say from the university as a whole that see the value and the importance of doing research about the past.
I think what I really appreciate is the great freedom. It's just a really inspiring situation because you can think about collaborative projects and do them without having to think about constraints.
There are several of us who are coming now to Notre Dame from our own international backgrounds, from Europe, from South America, and in my case, Canada. And being able to be here at Notre Dame amid an international community that is eager to learn about global dimensions is very exciting.